Welcome to Daikaiju Network's commentary on DAIMAJIN Strikes Back, the third and final film in the DAIMAJIN trilogy. I'm your co-host, Kent, and with me is your other co-host,
Jason. What's going on, everyone?
So finally, after quite a while, we're going to finish out the DAIMAJIN trilogy from a commentary standpoint. We had originally started this commentary trilogy, gosh, what was it, like September or something like that? It was kind of in the latter half of last year.
Maybe.
And for whatever reason, we never finished it. And a couple weeks ago, we did the Return to DAIMAJIN. And now we're here to wrap it up. So, yeah. Before we continue, is there any housekeeping, Jason, that we have to do?
Well, just basically just let everyone know to like and subscribe to our social media channels as well. You can see down below there. You can watch us on YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Periscope. And you can also like and subscribe to our audio podcasts over at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and TuneIn. And and you can also watch us live as well on our own website, and you can also listen to some of our past episodes as well, including our current episodes audio version at DaikaijuNetwork.com.
All right, so here we are. Third and final DAIMAJIN film. Anybody who has listened to our discussion of these movies back almost 8 years ago now at this point will know, and by the way, you can catch all those in our archives at DaikaijuNetwork.com. People will find, or if you were listening to us back then, know that I was not a fan of this third one. And a lot of it was because of the kids. In fact, it was very much a running joke for me where I always made fun of the kid that died in this film. And so that was kind of my morbid thing going on for quite some time. But I have to say, though, this film, I've warmed up to it in recent years. I've gotten more used to the dub, and it is a good dub. It's by no means the worst. It's a good enough dub. And the film itself is one that I have found to be a little bit more charming as time has passed. So looking forward to revisiting this one. And so, Jason, if you have nothing else to say, I need to pop open my Blu-ray player and get this disc loaded, because these DAIMAJIN Blu-rays, if you don't own them, these things, once you pop them in, if you don't do anything after a minute or two, they start by themselves. So that's why I have nothing queued up on my Blu-ray player.
And I had my Blu-ray player open for a while, and just before we started doing the episode here, for some strange reason, it decided to close up the tray on its own, and then I think it completely turned off the player and just started play like an app on my TV here.
Well, and then Jason a couple times kept going.
Yeah, I was like, "What the hell is this noise? I never really heard of it." And it was like, it was probably my Blu-ray player, closing up the tray and then just automatically turn off after a certain while when I had the tray open and not having the thing going.
All right. Well, I'm going to open up my Blu-ray here and get the disc loaded.
Yep. And right now, just sort of waiting on your end here. And while you're, well, I can't probably do anything right now here for the time being. But yeah, I'll just wait on Kent for him to be ready, so then I can get my Blu-ray tray in here. Boy, it's just hope it doesn't do it again here.
All right. So getting FBI loaded up here.
Oh, you're all
Well,
right.
I'm not starting the thing. It's just loading the disc here.
All right. So I'm just sort of
Oh,
waiting on
shit.
your part.
Why is that so fucking loud? Some naughty words came out.
Yeah. What else
Okay.
is new?
So, if you have the Blu-ray, what we're going to do is what we did a couple weeks ago. You go into the chapters part and then queue up chapter 1. So, yeah. So that's what we're going to do this time. So, without any further ado, Jason, unless there's something else you need to add, I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, let me add my disc in. Poop. Whoa there. What the heck's going on
So,
here?
there.
For at times, whenever I use my remote for this TV here, sometimes it acts a little strangely. All right, so
Like you.
maybe. Okay, so getting that. No, I don't want to resume. All right, here. All right, getting that FBI thingamabob as well.
By the way, have you watched any of the bonus stuff on here?
I have not.
Neither have I, which is
yet.
strange.
I know there were at times I thought about it. Okay, so go to chapters, and now I've got it highlighted to 1 here.
All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, go. And then when I say go, that's when we hit OK on our remotes. And again, that's for people who don't normally, get on here. So here we go. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So let's put ourselves on the commentary cam.
And once again, Akira Ifukube scoring all 3 films. And all 3 films produced and distributed in 1966. I will say I do like the title card to this one more.
Oh, do you? Let's see here. There we go. Not sure why that got offset.
Sort of a similar beginning to Mothra vs. Godzilla, in which we got a big storm going on.
But at least this time you get to see a little bit of Daimajin at the very beginning, which is a bit unusual.
Yeah, I was going to say, do we know why this happens? Because typically Majin has to be summoned and all that. And
yeah, I have no idea.
Majin angry.
Me angry.
He stomps and then a torrent of water shows up. I do like a lot of the effect sequences we're seeing here. This is really cool. It's a wonderful mix of miniature and practical effects with the on-set effects work. It's done very well.
Yeah. And it's not, I would say, something along the lines of not like this whole glamorous sort of get go that they always had in the previous two movies. Whereas this one, it just shows everyone just having this miserable thing that's going on with them, where it's raining a lot, and then it seems like weather changes constantly, or in an instant that we're seeing here, where it just dries up the environment here that we've seen, and then we get to see Daimajin's arms once again. Then environment just really drastically changing here.
I hope we get an explanation. I've seen this movie a few times, but I don't recall whether or not it's explained what happened here.
Mm-hmm.
And for quite a long time, these movies were released onto VHS, and ADV released the first two films at one point, but for whatever reason, the third film was always very difficult to find. Oh.
Uh-oh. I think
well.
I think I don't have the subtitles going here.
Well, that voiceover really did nothing. Be the work of DAIMAJIN. No shit, we saw him. No thanks to you, narrator. That is the most entertaining opening of this entire trilogy, I will say that.
Uh-oh. Crap.
What'd you do?
I was trying to get the subtitles going because for some reason it wasn't doing it, and now it started the movie all over again for me.
I'll give you a timestamp when you're ready.
Okay, give me a moment. Okay, what's the timestamp here?
Right now, 5:04, 5:05, 5:06, 5:07. Like,
whoa, settle down
I didn't
here.
pause it. I'm not going to pause it though. I'm just letting you know, kind of, so you get
I'm
an idea of where to go.
I'm at 6 minutes right now.
Well, I'm at 5:21, so don't get too far ahead. Did you pause?
Now I did. It's at 6:11.
Okay, I'll let you know when I'm there.
And do the countdown here.
6:11, you said?
Yep. I'm not sure why the subtitles didn't go right away when it had the original audio like it did with the previous film.
I don't know. I'll say go when I hit 6:11.
All right.
About 11 more seconds here. Go.
Ah, poop. Come on. There we go. It just wasn't going right away for me there.
You got a weird Blu-ray player.
Well, it's the 4K Blu-ray player.
This guy's a little worse for wear.
It's like his face is really tan, but then his mouth there, it just seems really light compared to the rest of his face. Okay, reconnection successful.
That's weird.
I want to go on YouTube here. Up. Switch. What the heck? Your channel.
Are we gonna have to redo it?
I'm not sure.
Well, if we are, at least we're not too far in.
I'm not sure.
Can you imagine, like, we're in the last 5 minutes and then this
Okay.
does it?
We're good at because I heard myself. Yeah, sorry about that, people. For some reason, OBS sort of.
OBS is a POS.
Yeah, sort of for some reason, it just sort of disconnected. There, I got a pop-up on my computer that disconnected. It's like, what the hell?
Hey, what's your timestamp here?
All right, so, boy, everything is just going a bit weird.
I know,
here.
we're having a wonderful old time over here.
Okay, so darn it. Okay, so my timestamp is at 11:24.
What in the world? How are you 4 minutes ahead?
I don't know. What the hell? Let me try to go.
I'm at 7:54.
Okay. What?
Oh,
I
folks,
see here.
this is wonderful.
You said 7:54, right?
That's where I'm at.
Okay. I think the way I was pressing up, it was taking me back, or forward, I should say. Okay, so 5:15.
Sorry, folks. Oh.
Darn it. Not 11.
Redo this?
Here, give me a second. It's going to take a bit. Boy, at times I hate this shit.
I know Jason's ready to go, motherfucker! And just like throw shit.
God. Come on. I'm just going to let it go because I'm just right at the 7:03 mark here.
And then pause when you get to 7:54. Do we just want to redo this?
No.
Everybody else is going to pause and like redo their. This is going to be a wonderful commentary for all you guys, because you guys are going to be like, wait a minute, what the hell did we do? It's just like, you know what? Do what you want. If you want to come back to 7:54 when we say go here in just a moment, that would be ideal if you're wanting to follow along with us. We can't follow along with you because we don't know where the hell you guys are at. But
well, you said 7:54, so that's probably where they're going to be right at this point here.
That's right. You got to do what we're doing. You're listening to us, not the other way around.
Okay. Go. All right.
So unless I missed it, I didn't hear much as far as why those events happened. I heard Lord Arakawa, but I'm thinking, what did that have to do with the destruction from Majin that we saw?
Well, as I was going to say before we got caught off for some strange reason, that this dude that was laying in the bed there, that one of the ways that I think it was to deal with all this was to go to the Majin Mountain where no one hasn't gone to before with all their reactions and everything. And it seemed with this one that probably some sort of curse or
Well, yeah,
something.
but the thing is that it almost looked as if these people that we saw at the beginning of the movie lived in that mountain. The only other thing I could think up of, and like I said, unless I missed something, is that if that was Lord Arikawa's territory, did Majin come out and just do revenge on the people simply because they're under his rule and they're just going to have to suffer the consequences? It's the only thing I can think of. Because, like I said, otherwise, unless I missed something, I didn't get really an explanation.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Let me check something. See if see if we get anything.
A potential strike one against the movie. Those rice balls do look darn good. Every time I see these in the movie, I'm just like, I wonder what those taste like.
Mm.
They got to be sweet because I think that's the only way you can put them together. It's like a sticky rice because they put a little bit of sugar.
Well,
That's how
no,
they.
no. All it is sticky rice, obviously, and then they, I think, do a little bit of salt, and then of course you have that seaweed
Well, the
wrap,
seaweed I think is just to keep them.
or the nori, sort of give it that flavor along with a little bit of the salt too.
Oh, everything is ruined with salt. I swear.
Yeah, sometimes it's pretty good when
I'd
you add
rather
it.
have stuff that's sweet.
Well, I ain't much of a sweet dude.
I will say though that this one definitely gears more towards the kids because obviously you look at it here, our main protagonists are children, whereas the previous two were more adult oriented. With that being said, though, this movie still is almost as violent as the last two.
Mm-hmm. Where with this film also being made with by the people behind the Gamer movies, it sort of coincided. It seems like that the first two films with Gamer were adult oriented, although the first one sort of had that kids vibe, but not so much.
It was a tad there, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Daimajin, the first two movies were also adult oriented, and then now it seems like that they were trying to get some of the kids involved.
Yeah, and trying just going through my mind. Obviously, we'll find out more about it as we go through the film. This movie still has some violence in it, no doubt. But I think when I really think about it, I think it's a tad more tame compared to the other two because in the last couple, you had more slicing and impalings. Here, I don't think we really see much, if any, of that.
Except for people just getting beat by the soldiers and stuff when they're doing
Right?
labor.
Yeah. And I think the worst sort of death, if I remember correctly, is spoiler alert: Lord Arikawa gets thrown into the sulfur pit there at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the worst of it.
Yeah, as far as I can remember, because
Talk about being dumb.
it's been a long time since I've last watched this movie too.
The last time I saw it, it was last spring or summer. It was within the first couple of months or so after the pandemic started, and my son, of course, was home. And so, just kind of one of the things he and I did for quite a while there was every other night we watched a Kaiju film. And these were all films that he hadn't seen before. And we eventually got through the Daimajin trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the last time I remember watching this, I think it was when we talked about the film a
Oh
few
my
years
God,
back.
8 years? Are you talking about 8 years?
I think so. Yeah. Unless if there was a day that I watched it a few years ago, but just can't remember it.
Excuse you.
The one guy in the middle there kind of looks like Mifune.
Kind of, yeah. Beautiful landscapes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm going to fall off the edge here.
Don't fall.
I'll get too close. Oh.
It'd be nice to know where some of those locations were so you can actually go to them, see how they look like today.
Probably less green.
Uh, don't be so sure of that.
I'm getting a little vibe from a different film. A film that kind of goes dun 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 dun.
Funny you say that because I was watching the the what happened to Jurassic Park 4. Uh, they were talking about the backstory of Jurassic Park, like all the first three movies, and then what happened in between the so many years leading up to Jurassic World. It's like a lot
In
of
the
interesting
story universe or like actual behind the scenes?
actual behind the scenes.
Okay.
But yeah, it was pretty interesting with all that
Yeah, I heard.
like the humanoid
Yeah.
dinosaur
I
freaky
remember
stuff.
hearing something about that like in 2008, 2009 somewhere in there where they were thinking about that. I'm so glad they didn't do that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were too.
If you want to do that, make it, in a different movie universe or what. Just don't do it in the Jurassic Park franchise.
Yeah, and the one guy was saying like, just think about the way how the first one started out, just simple, you know, everything dinosaurs, and then take a look at this, what they were thinking about leading up to.
It's probably one of those deals where you just throw ideas out there and just see what sticks. But yeah, I remember at one point they were definitely considering that. It's just like, no, it's one thing to have someone just to have an idea and you work from that. It's another thing to where you're like, yeah, that actually sounds really cool. Here we go on a tangent again. But like, I'm, it's we got crazy old lady here who I think eventually ends up disappearing within mere seconds after the kids leave here. But going back to Jurassic Park for a second, I'm surprised that by part 3, at least, they didn't do the whole working park thing. And the fact that with part 4 they were going to potentially do humanoid dinosaurs, you know, millions of other Jurassic Park fans were always saying is that isn't it obvious what direction you should go for? You've never had an operational park in any of these films. Why not try that and let chaos ensue? It's an obvious idea. And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, let's do some Spider-Man lizard type, people here. And it's just like, oh my God. Like,
And then they also talked a little bit behind the scenes of Jurassic Park 3, and that was pretty interesting in and of itself too, where basically like that whole thing, it was sort of a mess from the very beginning, simply because that they had this one script and then they built all these sets, but then I think a few weeks beforehand they threw out that entire script, and then they had to bring on the writer to work on it for the next
oh, you did
4 weeks
work on it.
before
Right.
before the filming or shooting began. And
Wait,
even still, just when they were doing the principal photography for that film, it still sort of was a mess.
well, yeah, I kind of heard rumors of that too. That's why Joe Johnson was brought in because, like I think even the Wolfman movie from 2010, I think I don't think it was as anywhere near as chaotic as JP3, but it was heading towards a similar situation. And I guess he's one that just kind of rein in stuff and
Mm-hmm.
get you on track. I mean, a lot of people dislike JP3, although it seems more popular now to diss on Lost World. Um, I still think JP3 is the weakest, but there are some things about it that I do like.
Mm-hmm. But
But
anywho,
anyway,
let's
back to Daimajin.
yeah. No, you may not follow us. And don't be a whiner.
Well, man, I mean, if you guys ever start a frat, you got an easy initiation. You won't cry and you won't whine? Yes. All right. You're in. Although, what's it, Sugibo? No, it's not Sugibo.
No, they just
The
call him
kid
Little
that just did
Sugi.
all right here. Um, the one who said, "Okay, you can come in." He's not going to be around long enough to start a frat, anyways. If you catch my drift. He looks like he just got off the love seat and got done watching A Little Young and the Restless with a bag of potato chips.
Like, I feel refreshed.
I've had my stories. The dubbing for this is good. I mean, you can tell it's a newer dub because the audio is so clear and louder than what you get in the previous two films and any other films that were produced around this time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it sort of reminds me that the dubbers were trying on some level to kind of word I'm looking for, sort of why do I keep forgetting words on this podcast when I need them? Trying to summon the inner spirits of past dubbers, to try to match up some of their performances with this.
Well, and I think if I heard or read correctly, that the third one, I think, got the dubbing by Mill Creek Entertainment itself.
It was, yes,
Yeah.
because this film had never really,
Yeah,
been
it
released
was
here before,
it was never released, yeah, in the US compared to the other two.
which is weird, but maybe they were like, it's children, no one's gonna watch this. But again, like I said, when I first started watching this trilogy over 8 years ago, I was not really a fan of this third one initially. But
Well,
again,
both you and I, we weren't that much of a fan simply because I think, excuse me, that it never. Oh man, I got something in my throat. Okay, but it sort of veered off from the first two films. What the two films were portraying Daimajin as, and
well,
then having like sort of being focused around the adult characters and all that. Whereas this one, it was mainly focusing on these four boys.
yeah, I remember the reason, and I stated here at the top of the podcast, really the main reason why I didn't like this 8 years ago mainly was because of the kids. I wasn't too keen on them. But then, too, another reason that I had at the time as well was that I thought there was just too much of these boys in their journeys. I never thought there was a whole lot of interesting stuff that took place from the moment they left until Majin shows up near the end. after repeated viewings and time, I've come to realize there's some exciting things here. There's still a few parts where they try to make it exhilarating, but it doesn't really work as well as they probably would have hoped. But one of the things I've come to appreciate is, in fact, the children. I've grown to like the kids as over repeated viewings here. And I've grown more to enjoy the cinematography as well. This is probably the best looking Majin film in terms of its scenery out of the entire trilogy, in my opinion.
And then with it being a long time viewing for me, that at the very beginning I sort of forgot that, like, the whole environment destruction that they had. And it seemed
Oh yeah.
that it was more like the story seemed to be more well in depth compared to the other two in a way.
Yeah, by and large, we're still the main theme of the story is the same as the previous two, in which you have this lord of an area in feudal Japan that is an asshole, and
Good way to
you
put
know,
it.
I don't know how else to put it in a very poetic way. Like I said, for whatever reason, every time I get on this podcast, I tend to lose my vocabulary. Um, but the good guys try to stop him or free themselves, and then in the end, it's up to Majin to save the day. The difference between this one and the previous two is it's children, and it is sort of this. It's a
it's like
sort
an
of a poor
adventure.
man's hero's journey.
Yeah, that and it's more adventurous compared to the other two films.
It's more of an adventure type film, yeah, heroes type of journey. But again, a poor man's one because these boys are not fleshed out all that well. It's more or less about them making the journey and just surviving some of the wildernesses. Yes, God, I wish my vocabulary would stick around every time I do one of these.
Hey, hey,
But, yeah.
hey, Kent, get good. But I do like the scenery.
Oh yeah, it is a gorgeous film, and I like the
Whereas,
snow at the end too.
whereas I think in the first two films, it's felt like that they weren't really on location type of films. It was more set in the studio. Whereas this one,
Yeah.
it felt more on location.
Yeah, this one definitely is more expansive in its shooting locations, I would say.
Hmm.
But then again, there's nothing wrong with the first two. I mean, the compliments you can give to that is great set design.
Hmm.
And there he is.
You know, what other film that this film sort of reminds me? It reminds me a little bit of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I think
where these kids
that's an
are like the
overrated
Hobbit.
trilogy.
I really enjoy that trilogy more than I would say Star Wars.
Don't even get me started.
Even though we practically grew up watching those movies,
They
the
were,
original ones.
I think they're fun if you're a kid, but a lot of those stories, minus a couple of films, I don't think hold up. And I mean, they're kind of fun. Um, but as I've gotten older, I've moved more to Star Trek and especially the original series. And the reason why that is because um, Star Trek is not only incredible science fiction, but it reminds me a lot of Twilight Zone, the classic, where it's about social commentary. at the time. It's not about necessarily like, Jedi and just people with lightsabers and guns shooting at each other. It's more about, talking about things like race and all sorts of other stuff. I mean, I think it's a more sophisticated show. The newer Star Trek stuff I'm not much of a fan of, but the original series I do. I do like that the trilogy, the newest J.J. Abrams trilogy. I think those are pretty fun films. But
The
as far as a show,
first
the
one
original
was
series is
the first Abrams movie was pretty good. The second one was okay. Third one, and I'm not sure if they were planning on doing a fourth one or whatever. But anywho,
load up on carbs, kids.
or are they
Must be
eating bread?
fall.
No, that's
Those,
that's rice balls.
yeah, that's the rice balls. Must be fall, the beautiful fall colors there. Good looking film.
Oh yeah.
We're child murderers. Bunch of dipshits.
Yeah. But as I said earlier, that I really liked how this film was more on location, where you get more of the natural beauty of everything. Where I think it makes the film look better compared to the other two.
It does, yeah.
But you still get it, and it also feels really well when it transitions into some of the in studio locations,
Like
which
this.
I'm guessing is this one here where
Oh,
everything
it's
just
definitely in set.
yeah, it still looks pretty damn good.
I wouldn't be shocked if some of that was superimposed there, like the stream below. If
Hmm.
that is true, that's a hell of a job.
Yeah, or actually still part of the set.
Go ahead, young one. Step on that. Oh, there he goes. Now we're rid of him.
You're gonna be our guinea pig.
Good mom. Pa always said he was an accident. These kids would be awful as spies. They're letting their location be known like every step of the way.
Well, they don't know any better.
Yeah.
But if he steps on that again, the tree breaks again.
That'd be funny. Like he falls, then they chop down another tree, then another one of them steps on it. He falls, then they chop down another tree. The next one steps on it. He falls. Then the sole survivor is like, well, let's just try it. He chops down a tree, puts it down, steps on it. The end. Roll credits. I tell you not to look down, fool.
Come on, the tree's sturdy enough.
It'd be funny if Kong came around the corner, picked it up, and started rolling the the tree.
And then he just walks normally. Come on.
I know that's a tad, you know.
It felt like the drama for that sequence was a little bit forced.
It was played out a tad longer than it should have been. I understand what they're doing, but yeah, it was just played out, I think, a couple of minutes longer. This right here to me is more dramatic because to me they seem to be more in danger. When after them, you know, they got guns and crap, so
Mm-hmm.
initially when I first saw this movie, I'm like, holy shit, are we nearing the end? Like this seems to be the shortest film.
Well, let's see if it is.
It's the longest one because this is about an hour and a half. The other two are like an hour 10 or something like that.
Let's see here.
But yeah, this is the longest one.
Yeah, by 2 minutes. Yeah, because the first movie was the shortest at 73. Second one was at 77, and this one's 79.
It can't be right because this is an hour 27. That's 87 minutes.
Oh, that's what it's saying here. 79. Wonder if they made a typo.
That has to be a typo because you do the timestamp, it says an hour 27.
Yeah, because was it 79? Yeah, that's an hour 19.
Mm-hmm. Damn it, Mill Creek. First, you can't tell time, then you can't put up appropriate subtitles for an Ultraman set. I'm kidding, Mill Creek. Anybody listening to this, we do appreciate you releasing this stuff. I'm still gonna buy your stuff, but we do have to give you crap for some of this stuff because I will say on some level, this particular entry pulls at the heartstrings a little bit because I'm a dad and I got a boy, so this is sort of a father son type of deal. It's nothing fancy, it's nothing deep or anything, but it kind of pulls at the heartstrings a little bit. And part of that is Ifukube's score. Ifukube tends to kind of pack some extra wazoo there in certain scenes, and
Yeah.
two, um, that most recent scene we just saw with the kids when they were sharing that cake. Um, like we were just talking about as they were trying to cross that stream, we thought that stream scene played on just a tad longer than it should have. I thought that scene as well where they're sharing the cake. I understand why they did it. They were trying to show that these boys are friends and that, they are taking good care of each other. They're doing what people in general should be doing, which is be kind to one another. But it's still, that too played on a tad longer than it should have as well. And I think that is part of this film's shortcoming, is that it plays certain things out longer than it really needs to.
Mm-hmm. Like, oh boy, cake.
Let's sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Or do the Frosty Snowman. Happy birthday.
I'm sorry, he tripped up. What a putz. I'm sorry. Just I saw that to be funny. I know it was planned and all that, but still.
Funny if there was manure in that wagon.
Manure! I hate manure! The Portuguese must have already arrived in Japan because they got pistols now.
No, they just made them on their own.
It's not true. History says so otherwise. Oh no, the ketchup packet exploded. He was saving that for later.
Son of a bitch, that was my only ketchup packet.
I heard about the guy who survived on taco sauce packets from Taco Bell. I was hoping to do the same with Heinz ketchup. Maybe we can get Heinz to support the show. Heinz ketchup, it's good on burgers and all sorts of fancy stuff.
Like, oh man, we lost a bet.
DraftKings sucks.
Maybe we should have gone with FanDuel instead.
Oh, shots fired. DraftKings is like, that's it.
I mean, I'm not really so sure which one is better, so.
I don't care. I don't do that stuff anyway.
I don't either.
Did he say Daisaku is slow?
Maybe.
I hope he didn't.
I didn't quite catch.
He either said Daisaku is slow or he's small. I thought those were one of the two things he may have said. This is gruesome and pretty sad here, quite honestly. Mm-hmm. One of the boys is gonna lose his dad. Dad's gonna lose his boy. You know, that Lord spends a lot of time at that sulfur pit. And, you know, sulfur gives off that very potent rotten egg type of smell. I would think after a while, like, that would have to do a number on your lungs and your mental health.
Yeah, I think there's some sort of long-time effect, or if you're exposed to it to a certain degree, I think it could be fatal.
Let me look this up here. Science.
Science, we do it.
Okay, long-term effects of COVID. No, that's not what I want to look up, and I don't want to. I don't want to read that right now. Long-term effects of exposure to sulf, not to mustard. Um,
Yes, let's look up the long-term effects of mustard.
oh, that's okay. Breathing sulfur over long term may irritate the nose and respiratory tract, resulting in chronic bronchitis.
Mm. Is that it?
Yeah, that's
Huh.
it's still not good though.
Yeah. I thought
And
I was
I've
getting.
got asthma. I mean, mine's very acute, and that's sometimes like if I run really hard or exert myself enough, like it takes me a long time to recover. Like bitch to begin with. And like I said, I have very acute asthma. I don't, have anything even
Yeah.
mild to severe.
God, I with those three guys running after the three other kids, and then you have little Sugi walk like just casually walking up to their little encampment there. You would have thought that they would have seen him just walking up towards their camp there.
Well, again, like I said, I think this one in particular was made more specifically for the younger audience. It was because, again, like I said earlier, your main protagonists are these four kids,
And then,
eventually to be three. I
and
keep
then he's
wanting to
just like,
point that out.
and then he's just hiding wide open there.
Yeah, it's very typical of a lot of things you see with kids shows and movies where 99 times out of 100 the kids are shown to be very uh, god damn, I keep forgetting shit. They're very intelligent. I had a different word and I couldn't remember it.
Come on.
And very just like Kevin from Home Alone, using the traps. Very
Very cunning.
kind of, but like in terms of using smarts, like not just intelligent,
Intelligence.
not just that, but like also using tricks and other tools to, um, gosh, why do you people listen to this? I mean, I just
Well, my question is, why do you always become dumb when we do podcasts?
because we have a dumb podcast. We need to have a warning label at the beginning of each show. Warning. This podcast may cause stupidity. Listener discretion is advised. So the Three Stooges there, it's kind of fun because it brings some small, mild tension into the film. But again, and I know, again, this is kind of more of a kid's film, but I'm already kind of tired of this journey. Something really major needs to happen, and to some degree, we will get that here in another moment or two. But even then, outside of Kita here eventually drowning, and I keep having to bring that up, it's still minor action sequences. It's nothing. It's nothing overly entertaining. You're just kind of going, yeah, it's there. And again, I keep saying this. We both do. It's beautifully shot. It's nice to look at, but there gets to be a point where that's not going to save your film.
Yeah.
And as I stated earlier, this was another problem I had initially with the film, and still, obviously, to some degree, still have. 8 years later, where there's just a fair amount of slow storytelling taking place here.
Mm-hmm.
They do a wonderful job of placing the camera in various spots to where you don't really see the shadows of it or anything of that sort. Because with some of these shots, especially where they're looking at some of the rocks and the creek itself, so many people could easily thing to do to begin with, to where you could see, oh, I guess I just saw a shadow there. So, but my point is that it would be very difficult to hide the camera anyways, but the fact that they're able to by and large hide it to where you don't see the shadow, that's some good camera work there.
Just seeing this, where basically like he's getting sucked in. The river isn't that extreme. It doesn't seem like he's
No, but well, it's extreme enough because they're small. The fact that he drowns right away, though, I have a problem with that.
And then, well, that, and then from what it looked like, the river didn't seem all that deep.
Yeah, I mean, the water.
And just looking at that area where little Sugi is, it didn't seem all that deep. And he was swimming pretty fine there when they crashed into the rock.
Right. I would say, though, considering Quinta's size, water going that fast would be pretty tough. But yeah, like you were saying, it seemed shallow. And I think that's probably pretty true. But my issue, I have two problems with this outside of the fact, like you said, it could have been pretty shallow there. My main two issues are that they make him drown right away, which, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And another thing too is that I wish that scene were played with a deeper impact. Like, I wish Ifukube could have placed some type of sad music there to mourn the loss of Quinta. Maybe he was going to do that and the director told him no. Regardless, it's either the director's fault or Ifukube's fault for not making that more poignant. Because, yeah, they do sort of mourn the loss of Quinta, but he basically kind of becomes more of an afterthought, and an afterthought pretty fast. It's that part is disappointing because you could have really had a moment here.
Mm-hmm. And then the way how he was up on that rock, it didn't seem like it was at the point where the current of the river was bringing him in. It seemed like he was well up on that rock.
Yeah.
And again, just like that one previous sequence with the tree crossing there, that one just seemed a bit forced as well.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that how that was played out. It's a lot of that stuff could have been easily fixed.
Mm-hmm. I would at least say make it believable. Don't make it too long or drag it out.
And I would think too, for kids at that age, you lose a friend. If you're a kid that age and you just move away to a new area, the fact that you're not going to see your friends again is pretty traumatic to some to begin with. But friends actually die. Like, I just would think that would be a big fucking deal.
Yeah. And
I
and just
just don't care for that.
and just with you saying that and just seeing the kids how they're acting well after that, it just seemed like they totally forgot about Kinto.
Yeah. And I'm not going to blame the kids too much because very few kids can act really well. And by and large, these
Mm-hmm.
kids do a pretty darn good job throughout the whole of the film. But the acting during that sequence wasn't spectacular either. But like I said, I'm not really gonna that to me is a nitpick. I'm not gonna really go after the kids on this.
It's just more or less
But
the direction of the film crew behind the scenes.
it's yeah, I'm blaming the crew more because, like I said, either it's Ifukube's fault or the director's fault that music wasn't inserted there, and I'm also blaming the director slash writers for not trying to make Quinta more of part of these kids is sort of like trauma as they're going forward, because by the time we get towards the end, sure, these kids are kind of beat up a little bit from their journey, but they're not as beat up as they should. Like, these kids should be like worse for wear. Like, they should be psychologically scarred because of just some of the things that they've gone through, and the fact that they lost one of their friends and all that. They've had to endure some harsh conditions with the weather. And again,
Well,
probably because it's more of a kids' film, they're not going to do some of that stuff. But I feel like certain opportunities were missed to create something that was more emotionally impactful.
mm-hmm. Well, and with it now being winter or snow falling here, and I think one of the other kids was gonna die from freezing. I think. I think it was little
No,
Sugi that does. I could have sworn one of them
no,
also.
they a couple of them pass out, but then they're more or less saved. Part
I
though is
don't know.
played pretty well.
I don't know. It's been a while. We'll have to see when it gets to that point.
I'm telling you right now, none of those other kids die. I do like, even though this is fake snow, their application of it on this set is beautiful. I mean, it looks like a real snowfall occurred, and the fact that they were very extensive on the fence and on the cliffside and on the roofs and all that, like, they really made sure that they tried to make this look legitimate. Liar.
Pants on fire.
It'd be funny you said that, like, liar, liar, pants on fire, and then the person's pants spontaneously combust. He's like, ugh, ugh. I don't think it's the snow that would kill you. It would be the cold. I mean, of course, you get caught in an avalanche, but you would think you would try to avoid those types of areas.
It's the cold, damn it.
Unless you have no choice, obviously. But
It'd be funny, like they were just like they're uh oh God, now I'm starting to forget words too. Thanks a lot, Kent.
welcome to
Um,
Dumbville. Occupation too. I mean, not occupation. See what? Population too, not occupation. See what I'm talking about? You're stupid. Jeez. Oh, again, why do you people listen to us? If you were paying for this, I'm sure you would be asking for refunds.
even though we're not paid.
No, I'm talking about the listeners.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm saying they're not paying us.
I
What is
know.
it saying? We want our money back.
Yeah, they get a refund. So yeah, I think we're coming up on your moment here.
But yeah, just now looking at some of the snow in this environment, it sort of looks like where Frosty Snowman just does like a huge fart, but it accidentally just sprays out a bunch of snow.
Then you see this gigantic version of Frosty who is like not necessarily all there, and he's like, "Happy birthday!" And he's like kind of a partial psychotic snowman where he's, "Come here, I want friends, smash!" Like sort of a mild.
I'm gonna make your day special.
Want to blow out some candles? Here's one
God.
that shoots out all the time. Not the volcano!
God. I don't know why people would listen to us at times.
I know. Well, we kind of consider ourselves a bit of a comedy podcast, too.
Like the really kind of weird comedy.
Sugipo's like smiling a little bit there.
It's like, stop tickling me.
Can you imagine that, like coming up on these kids and you're just like, yeah, a couple of them are asleep. Let's murder them.
I'm surprised he's still carrying like the broken arrow. That one dude.
I'm a fan of this. Was it a hawk
Falcon
or an eagle?
something?
I always get things. Okay, we got to look this up. I've been wanting to know for a while anyway.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Oh, come on, if I can type too. Difference between a hawk and a falcon, and then we'll do hawk and an eagle. Okay, falcons are smaller birds. Hawks are generally large, but with shorter wings. Well, damn, that doesn't help too much. I mean, I need some comparisons here.
Well, you got it right
That
there.
to me, the sound it makes, it sounds more like an eagle. Falcons grab their prey with beaks while hawks use talons. Okay, so I'm going to say that's a hawk, maybe. It's either a hawk or an eagle. Now let's do hawk and an eagle. Eagles are generally stronger. God damn it, they aren't helping here. They have heavily built muscular body, hooked beak, curved talons, very strong legs. Eagles have a wingspan of 8 feet, while most hawks have a wingspan of less than 5. Okay, like I was just saying a moment ago, I think this is going to a hawk. But then it seems to have a call of an eagle.
But then it was using talons like a falcon, right?
No, falcons carry their food with beaks.
Oh.
Initially, when I saw this, I was so pissed. I'm like, no, you killed a bird, because I'm an animal lover. And I'm just like, those motherfuckers need to.
But yeah, see, he's going on his own.
They're not dead, though.
I think they are.
I bet you $1,000 they are not dead.
Yes, yes, it is.
I didn't know the village people were in trouble. I bet that was fun. Here we go.
Daimajin awakens.
So over the next 23 minutes, we're going to see Majin murder. And I do believe, too, we get more Majin in this film overall than we do the others. That's an incredible shot there.
It seems, I think, if I remember correctly, he's like basically pissed at everyone in this one.
Majin's always pissed, dude. What are you talking about?
Well, not just pissed at like just the person that is corrupt or anything, but basically just pissed at everyone in general.
I know the feeling.
Okay.
Told you. It's a good thing you didn't take that bet. So yeah, I told you, owe me $8.
Shut up, goddamn. But since I haven't seen this movie in a long time, with that kid jumping off the cliff, did he also die?
No. Like I stated earlier, Quinta is the only one that ends up dead. Can you imagine the director's like, yes, we're going to have 4, and only one will survive. We're going to kill children.
Oh, God. And this is pretty cool, too.
I do like this. There are some cool effects shots in this film. Again, the cinematography is great. I'm surprised that it took me, maybe 5 or so years to really begin to appreciate the film. But I just was so pissed off at the kids for the longest time that I couldn't get past that. I imagine maybe an angry god, but he's also a pretty sympathetic god too.
It'd be funny, he drops the kid down, and then he starts walking, but then he accidentally trips over a rock and then falls over.
And you actually see this worried look on his face. Oh. For the first time, Majin shows a different emotion. That is fear.
The fear of falling over.
And he accidentally falls on top of the other 2 kids. You are doomed. Or Majin pops over the mountain and he goes, "Hi, you're fucked."
Or he does that, and he sprouts up, accidentally trips on a rock, and then falls into the sulfur pit.
You would have with you and having him trip. You have a stand-up routine where every joke you tell is somebody tripping over something. and you have your first going to be recorded on Netflix, and the title of the show is called Trip with Jason. Now we get sort of a similar deal here like we got in the last film, whereas Majin broke down a brick wall or a stone wall. Here he's more or less taken down a whole mountain.
The mountain now is pretty weak to begin with.
Yeah, that stone wall in the last film I think held up better than this mountain. Puny mortals.
I like how some of the guns or bullets are just sparking like outside, not even hidden Daimajin there.
Well, it's like the Godzilla films and even some of the Gamera films. You get the self-defense force firing all these bullets and missiles at the monsters, and most of them miss. People talk about stormtroopers. I'm like, have you looked at the self-defense force in these Kaiju films? Oh, yeah, that's going to work. He's what, like 50 feet tall and you're 6 feet? Yeah, that's going to work. Yeah, that's what I like to see. I like to see bad guys when they get their comeuppance. Take out your sword and impale someone.
Yeah, no, I think out of the 3 movies, the only time he does unsheath, I think it was this one, right?
I thought it was the first film.
Oh, he's doing the same thing like in the first movie.
Kind of, yeah.
But on
what a way to go.
Like, on the mountain itself, yeah. Where the material's so much harder.
Yeah, it's not going to give that easily. Can you imagine going out like that, being crushed more or less?
Yeah. Oh yeah, like that's gonna help.
Yeah, you gotta try whatever you can. That's smarter than having them walk up and try to take his hand and bring him down. You talk about a stupid idea.
It is pretty stupid because he's just throwing logs at them.
Oh. I would have loved to have seen a scene where one of those logs is coming out of a guy's head and it just decapitates him. Like, you get more of a contemporary R-rated version of Majin. I would remake these movies and I would make them more violent.
Well, the best to actually see that sort of part is in one of the Final Destination films where that happens.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch those. There's what, like 6 of those?
Maybe. I mean, I haven't seen any of those films, but I did see, I think, one of the YouTube videos where it showed that scene. Where, like, there's this semi carrying a bunch of the logs, and, like, the chain or something gave way, and then one of them goes right through the car and stuff.
Did you ever see the movie Baby Driver?
Wasn't that a few so years ago?
Yeah, like 3 years ago. No, going on 4 years ago now.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Uh, Jamie Foxx's character, spoilers. It's not a great movie to begin with, but Jamie Foxx's character is killed when the hero of the film is in the driver's seat of the car and they're behind a, kind of a decent sized truck with rebar.
Mm-hmm.
And so what the main character does, he turns on the car and slams on it. They run into the back of the truck where the rebar's sticking out of the back, and boom, it goes through the windshield, and then all of that rebar impales
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx. Yeah, it's yeah. But back to Daimajin committing murder.
And a lot of destruction too. I like how he just like upends that
Upends all
entire
that.
gate.
I like how too some of the snow slowly accumulates kind of around his shoulders and front part of his armor and his helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's gonna, he's gonna go away while you just kind of wave your swords. That's gonna help. I don't know. I would say maybe some of the sets on this for the Majin scenes might be a tad more impressive here.
And this, and unlike the other two, we just saw sparks. See?
Yeah.
Maybe just try to give it some more effect or some kind of dramatic sort of action destruction.
Well, and I forget, I know we missed it. I thought that big tower deal may have contained like some of their gunpowder or something, maybe too.
Yeah, because I think the sulfur mining and stuff was part of the making gunpowder, if I
Maybe.
remember correctly.
That and for Lord Arakawa to develop bronchitis. He sure likes some bronchitis. I always love it though in these films where you get this evil lord who is just a son of a bitch, and then Majin comes along and they are ready to poop themselves. I mean, I like seeing that they're trying to run away and all that. You're just like, yeah, you can run away for a while, but you're gonna get caught. That's another thing. Like the arm isn't that long. Like that arm extension. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm willing to go with it, but
and how Daimajin knew where to find him too.
well, he's a god. I'm not worried about that, but just the fact that that arm went way down in there, and I'm like, yeah, like, we haven't seen Majin, show the ability to be like Stretch Armstrong here.
Yeah.
That'd be funny if they like cut the rope on their own lord and they're like, Majin's after him. Quick, like, let's save ourselves. He just wants the one guy. Be like, look, he's coming after. I mean, who knows? Maybe Majin indeed is going after everybody, but You can only try. It's just like he's going after this one guy. Maybe if we sacrifice him, the rest of us will live. I like that shot here.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the movie where he unsheathes.
Oh, he does. I thought it was the first one. Get a little Rambo before Rambo. Oh, that'd be funny if they actually showed like the head, you know.
Get up.
You dead.
He effed now.
I would say out of Majin films, the Lord that gets killed in this one gets killed in a manner that is more poetic justice. Because he ends up killing quite a few people by throwing them in the sulfur pit, and Majin's going to do the same with him. Whereas the other ones, it was just more of like, okay, I got you, and I'm going to kill you this way. Um, whereas he's more willing to go out of his way and be like, you like killing people this way? Well, experience it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's more or less going to be dead here because, well, we're going to get impaled. He does love impaling people. I do get some sweet satisfaction out of that, though. I had forgotten he impaled him with his sword.
So did I. But like something was telling me that this was the movie where he unsheathed his sword there, but I didn't really think he would go that far. It's been a while.
Now, what do you think is, a more satisfactory death for the villain? Do you think him being impaled and then sliding into the sulfur pit is good, or would you rather have seen him being tossed into the sulfur pit?
I probably would say just toss him into the sulfur pit. Just take care of it.
I,
Cause I think just stabbing him with the sword and then just sliding in. I think the stabbing part was a little bit overkill.
but here's the thing, like ultimately, yes, I would say sulfur pit just because it would, like I was saying, it's more poetic justice. Because that's how he's killed a number of people is by throwing them in there. And there's something that would be, like I said, not just poetic about it, but sort of
Ironic.
well, not just that, but the fact too, you could hear it, he would be screaming for a bit
Mm-hmm.
on his way out. But there is something too that is immediately satisfying knowing that a sharp object like impaled him and he knew that was coming. Like, there's something kind of satisfying about that as well.
You're like, what you doing now? And just like some of the other forms, the way he vanishes, like he's just turned into snow and just dissipates.
Hmm. Some great superimposing there. And I didn't mention it at the time when it happened, but I'm happy that my hawk was revived.
I've sort of forgotten about that. Meow.
That's a cat. I like the piano accompaniment here.
And that's basically it.
Yeah, we get more rolling of a rolling credit here. I don't think we got that with the other two films, did we?
No, it just usually showed that traditional the end
Oh, that's because
kanji.
though I think that's because the other two films though they had credits at the beginning, didn't they?
I think so.
Okay. Well, that is Daimajin Strikes Back. A film that I once didn't care for back in the day. Now that with time and I've seen it, you know, almost a dozen more times, I have come to actually enjoy and appreciate. So, um, Jason, what did you think?
Uh, I do like it a little bit better than the previous showings that we've had for this film. Uh, and as we've mentioned about earlier, I do like the uh, on location filming more compared to the other two because I think majority of the previous two were just more or majority of it was in studio, whereas this one it was basically more on location where some of it was just in studio. But I like the environment more. But as far as some of the story and the characters that they had, story was good, but it didn't quite flesh out some of the characters and some of the other characters, mainly the
Mhm.
boys. Could have done a little bit better.
Yeah, and I kind of mentioned it a couple times throughout the course of this commentary, and we both have said it that this visually is a beautiful looking film.
Mm-hmm.
Story wise, it's very similar to the other two.
Yeah.
Just it takes a slightly different approach to it. Um, my biggest issue again is the fact that there are certain moments within the film that they focus on longer than is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like any of them go on overly long, but certain things could have been trimmed a tad. Like you still could have made a point without having to linger as much as you did in a couple of spots. I would argue, though, too, that the weakest moment of this film was when Quinta died. As stated earlier, whether it's Fukube's fault or it's the director's fault, and even I blame some of the writers too because of what follows is the fact that Quinta more or less is not even an afterthought,
Well,
and
it mo-
it's
mo-
not played well.
the majority of it would be more on the directors not really on Akira Ifukube because I mean he's just the one that's composing the music for the film. The director is mainly the one that's overseeing
Right.
all of it, so it would mostly be on the director.
Well, yeah. Sometimes though, you get enough people or a certain individual who has some clout, such as Eiji Tsuburaya when he would sometimes work with Honda. The whole Godzilla, I forget the dance, but like the dance from Monster Zero and all that.
Yeah.
Honda didn't want that in there, and Tsuburaya insisted. And since Tsuburaya had quite a bit of clout, but to keep that part in the film. Um, and I would think someone like Ifukube, maybe would have some clout considering, he's a big time composer. I would even imagine by 66, he's kind of a big deal. But I don't know. That part to me should have played out more emotionally and should have lingered on in terms of its impact. That to me was disappointing that it wasn't made out to be more than it should have been. But otherwise, yeah, I think the Majin stuff here is incredible. I think this is the most Majin we get out of the three films.
But
If I had
sadly,
to rank,
sadly for me, I think it's the weakest one.
I would say if I had to rank these from favorite to least favorite, and all three of these films are great films. Don't get me wrong here when I do these rankings here in just a second. But for me, it would go 2, then 1 as far as my rankings.
2, 3, and 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, for me it'd be 2, 1, and then 3.
Mm-hmm. That's how mine would have been like 8 years ago. I think part 2 is similar to part 1. I just think part 2 does it better. Part 1's still a good film, but there are moments in that film where, I'm kind of not with some of the characters in that film. I'm with the kids in this one, but then too, what this film has that part 1 doesn't have is I think this one has more beautiful cinematography, and I just think it has better Majin sequences as well. So, unless you have anything else to add, we can wrap up this commentary.
Really can't think of anything else besides making sure that all of you hit the subscribe button as well as hitting the like button on YouTube, and you also listen to us over at not just on YouTube but Twitch, Facebook, Periscope, and D Live, and then you can see down there you can like and subscribe to us over at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn. And then you can also watch us live and listen to our podcast too over at DaikaijuNetwork.com.
And also, we are from here on out ramping up for Godzilla versus Kong. We will meet back here in a couple of weeks. What we're going to end up doing is the King Kong versus Godzilla commentary. Now, this is the American edit of the film commentary that we're doing since Jason doesn't have the Japanese cut of the film. However, I will be doing a commentary on that for Daikaiju Fest, which will be premiering in July, around the same time G Fest would have occurred this year. But we are ramping up for Godzilla versus Kong. On March 20th, we're going to come here for a King Kong versus Godzilla commentary. April 3rd, we're going to discuss versus Kong, but we're going to have a 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time start time. And on April 17th, we will then do a commentary on the brand new Godzilla versus Kong film. So we're getting very close here, guys. And then also Godzilla Singular Point, I believe, premieres March 25th on Netflix. And already Pacific Rim The Black is already streaming on Netflix. So check that out if you already haven't as well. And with that, thank you so very much for listening or tuning in, and we will see you here in about 13 days.
All right. Take care, everyone.